Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Naomi, and in today's practice, I'm going to show you how biceps curls can impact a few of your favorite yoga poses. Now, why biceps curls? Well, because in my online studio this month, in October of 2024, as I'm recording, I'm focusing on biceps curls. Now, biceps are not a muscle group that we typically use in our yoga practice, but it does show up in quite a few poses, particularly when your elbows are bent because your biceps are elbow flexors. So we're not going to do biceps curls today, but I am going to show you some of the poses that are impacted by working your biceps and getting stronger in your upper body so that those poses can feel a little bit more easeful, that you can feel more confident in them, and that you feel more stable when you are doing them because you can access one of the muscle groups that you'd be using. So if that sounds like your idea of a good time, let's get right into it, and I will see you on the other side. The first pose that we're going to do isn't one where you're weight bearing in your arms, so your biceps aren't helping to support you, but you will actually be able to feel your biceps engage when you do them. And it helps prove the idea that when you bend your elbows, your biceps are working. So that very first pose is cactus. So reach your arms up, fingers toward the ceiling. Okay, bend your elbows to shoulder height and re-extend. And just keep doing this for a little bit. Okay, now usually when we're doing this, our focus is shoulder blades, right? You feel your shoulder blades pulling in toward one another and you re-extend them up and they pull apart. Okay, but I want you to focus on your biceps. Now you keep going, but think about it this way. When someone is trying to flex their biceps and show off their muscles, they bend their elbow, curling their hand in toward their head, and that flexes, right? Because their elbow is flexing. That flexes, and now you can see biceps. Okay, keep going, we're almost done. So I want you to think of that here. You're not making a fist and flexing. It's a much gentler way to get there. But just feel how when your elbows bend, your biceps wake up a little bit. Okay, just do one more. Boom. Okay, and that's it. Shake out your arms a little. We're going to take that same action into Cobra pose, which is another pose where typically you're focusing more on the action of your shoulder blades, but your biceps are a big part of it. So come to lie on your belly, please. Okay, so on your belly, you want to place your hands next to your chest. And I'm going to show this to you from the side and from the front so that you can see what's happening, okay? Now my hands are next to my chest, fingers point slightly more forward than out, okay? And if I press through my hands, typically in Cobra, you just push up, right? Or like up dog, arms are straight, push up. But I want you again to focus on that same thing that you did in cactus. So if you press through your hands, you lift up a little bit, take your elbows out to the sides. That's going to take your weight more forward and out of your legs, into your arms directly. Now squeeze your hands toward one another, powerfully. And you will feel your biceps working a bit. Okay, now draw your shoulder blades in and keep squeezing your hands in. See if you can lift up a little bit higher. Yeah. Okay, and then lower all the way down. Now, your arms might be a little tired. If while I show you the next one, you want to do a little quad stretch here, you can bend one of your knees and then the other, grabbing for your foot. But I want to show you what that looks like from the front. So while you are doing that quad stretch, you can watch. So again, my hands are next to my chest, okay? And I'm just going to lift up a little, elbows bend out to the sides, and then I squeeze my hands in. All right, like they're being pulled toward one another, but I'm not letting them go closer. Then I can draw my shoulders in. I'm not pinning my elbows in. That actually takes the work out of my biceps. But I squeeze my shoulders, keep pulling my hands in, whoa, and I lift up higher. Okay, so that's the work of my arms coordinating with my shoulders and my legs. All right, so let's do it one more time together. Okay, now that you've done your quad stretches and you've seen what it looks like a little bit more from the front. Okay, so I'm gonna spin around. My biceps are actually starting to get a little tired, but that's a good thing because it means I'm really working them, okay? So my hands are next to my chest. You can put yours there too. Okay, lift up just a little, all right? Elbows go out to the sides, squeeze your hands in, then draw your shoulder blades in, extend through your legs, and push up a little bit more because your arms are helping to work here. There's not just your shoulder blades, not just your legs, but your arms, okay? And then lower all the way down. And just kick out your legs, shake out your arms. Okay, and this is pretty arm heavy. So if you get to a point while you're doing this, maybe after the next pose we're doing, which is Dolphin, and you say, you know what, I think I just need to watch for the rest of this, cool, it's great. Okay, but the next pose we are going to do is Dolphin pose, which is your foundational pose for both forearm stand and headstand. It's also a really, really great pose in its own right. Okay, so Dolphin pose, the way the Dolphin pose is done, I'm going to demo it first so you can see. You're on your forearms. You can lift your hips up so it's just your knees and your elbows and your hands and your forearms down. Okay, and then you would lift up. So it's like downward facing dog, only with your forearms on the floor. Okay, now typically in this pose, you can, if you were doing it with me, delightfully come on down, but if typically when we do this pose, a lot of the focus is on shoulders, again, shoulders, which is important. However, you can access your biceps here. Why? Because your elbows are bending, which means your biceps are working. Okay, so the way to help access your biceps is to interlace your fingers. Okay, now you have that like bottommost pinky finger, tuck it into the center of your palms, and then squeeze. Now you're not even on the ground yet, you're sitting on your heels. Okay, you squeeze in. Okay, now when you squeeze in, what muscles are you feeling? This is a lot like when you were doing Cobra and your hands were on the floor and you squeezed your hands in. What muscles you're feeling? Probably your biceps. Okay, so you're gonna do Dolphin pose like this, and then you're gonna do it with your hands on the floor and see if you can create that same engagement there. Okay, so I'm gonna turn around because the light is starting to come in. So I'm gonna turn around so I'm facing the other direction. So I'm gonna come on down to your forearms and your knees, interlace your fingers, tuck that bottommost pinky finger in, and then squeeze your hands together, nice and tight, so your biceps wake up. Okay, then draw your shoulder blades toward one another like you did in Cobra and lift your knees up. Okay, and this is your Dolphin. Okay, keep squeezing your hands in so your biceps are active and strong, and then lower your knees down. Okay, now there are a lot of other things involved in Dolphin. If your hamstrings are really tight, if your shoulders are kind of tight, that might not feel as easy as I made it look, so I just want to put that out there. Typically in a class, we would warm up a lot more for that. But today I just want to show you how your biceps can work in a pose where we tend to focus on other things, okay? So the next version of it that we're gonna do is your forearms directly on the floor. Now, if you wanna help your biceps, you can grab a block if you have one, and you can hold on to the block, okay? So you place your hands on either side of the block and squeeze. And it's the same idea as you would be doing if you were squeezing your fists, right? Your two hands together, and then you lift up. Now, if you don't have a block, because we're only gonna do this one time, your forearms go on the floor, palms to the floor, and see if you can squeeze in like you did in Cobra. You're just not holding the block. Then lift your knees up. Okay, and it's a little bit harder to do this without holding onto the block or without making that fist, but it's a lot more stable. You lower your knees down. That's why when we do something like forearm stand, typically you're not doing it with your fingers interlaced, right? Because when you gain strength, when you gain biceps engagement, you lose stability, right? Because having that fist on the floor, that's not as stable as having your hands on the floor, right? Now, you could certainly do forearm stand with your hands here, and I'm just gonna show forearm stand briefly. I'm not gonna ask you to do it, but I wanna show you what it looks like, and the idea is the same. So, if my palms are on the floor, I'm gonna squeeze in, knees go up. You could certainly do this at the wall. I just can't demo it at the wall because you wouldn't be able to see from the side. And then I'm gonna lift one leg. This is another precursor. You gotta be able to do this before both legs go up. But I'm really working here, squeezing my biceps toward one another to help hold myself up and to speak while I'm doing a challenging pose, okay? So that's forearm stand. Now you can do that at the wall. I'm not teaching it so much today. Again, I'm just showing you. Okay, this is something that we are gonna focus on in the online studio all month long. This is one of the poses that we're gonna focus on because we're working our biceps. So if you join me there, you will get to spend much more time in it. For now, last thing that I'm gonna show you is headstand. Okay, you can do it with me. If you feel solid in headstand, again, you can do it near a wall. but you want to come up in a couple of different ways. I have a whole tutorial on headstand on this channel, which I will link in the description so that you can get a sense of it there. This is just, again, to show. So you're making that same tripod foundation. That's not tripod with your head on the floor. It's just another version. When I say tripod, I mean 3 points. Okay, your fist, elbow, elbow. You're then going to put your head down, which is a 4th point. Okay, so once I have this initial foundation, like I created when we did Dolphin for the first time, my hands will go down, okay? And then I'm gonna take my head and place it on the floor. And I want it to be, I'm placing my head right about at my hairline, not the crown of my head, okay? And again, in the tutorial that I do on the other video that I'm gonna link, I'll give you lots of reasons why. But here, I'm placing the crown of my head is not on the ground, I'm on closer to my hairline, and I lift up. And I'm squeezing in. And then I might just lift one knee into my chest, then the other, so I'm in an egg shape. And this might be it. You can lift your knees up until they're vertical, and again, I'm still squeezing. And then I can extend my legs. Okay, and that's your headstand. But again, I'm gonna come down the same way that I came up. This is mostly just to show you that this is another place where my biceps are working to help hold me, okay? Whew. Now, the very last pose that we're doing is crow pose, because any pose where your elbows are bent, your biceps are working. And crow pose is sort of the gateway arm balance into all the other arm balances. So once you see this one, you can get a sense of it and then see that when you do another arm balance, it's gonna look really similar, okay? So, crow pose. I'm in a squat. If you wanna do it with me, you can come into a squat too. I'm gonna place your arms on the floor, or not your arms, I'm sorry, your hands on the floor. Hands as wide apart as your shoulders, and I'm gonna do this facing the front too, facing the camera so you can see what it looks like from the front. Okay, my knees come to the outsides of my upper arms, not my armpits, because then I can't really work my biceps, then I can't engage them. My elbows have to be bent, and the only way that's gonna work is if my knees come out to the sides. Okay, so once they're there, I shift forward, I'm way up on my tiptoes, and then I squeeze. Remember, squeeze my hands in? Squeeze your hands in and just lift one foot up. Okay, if you can lift one foot up, you can put that foot down and lift the other foot up. And then keep squeezing your hands in and see if you can lift maybe both feet up. And then you can lower your feet down. Okay, now yes, there are other things involved. You know, like there's wrist involvement here. Again, if you were in class, we wouldn't just jump right into it. There are a lot of things we would do to warm up. So if you feel like when you're doing it right now that you're like, I don't know how to get there, don't worry. I also have a tutorial on this pose on my channel, which I will link in the description. So you'll have your headstand and your crow pose, or you can join me in Move where we will work on biceps all month long. But I want to show you from the front what it looks like. So I'm going to place my hands on the floor. You can do it with me again if you choose. Okay, hands are down, knees are wide, elbows are wide. Okay, it's just like that the Cobra that we did. So I shift forward and then I squeeze my hands together. So do you notice when I squeeze my hands together, I lift up a bit, so I'm not low down anymore. When I squeeze, I pull up, and then I can lift one foot, and I keep squeezing with my hands and lift the other foot. Okay? That's biceps engagement in crow. So yes, are there other things involved? Absolutely. But your biceps help hold you there. And these several poses are the primary poses in which you are using your biceps to not only support you, but also make you feel stronger, steadier, and more confident in poses that sometimes feel a little bit unstable, maybe even scary, challenging, or where you feel like you have to access different muscles. And once you know that you can access your biceps in addition to your shoulders, that gives you one more muscle group that you can use to help you in these poses. Thank you for joining me on that upper body strength adventure today. I hope that it was useful to see that there are several poses, even more than these that I shared today, in which your biceps are helping to support you. And that if you do some strength work for your upper body, specifically biceps curls, you will feel in those poses a little bit steadier, a little bit stronger, more confident, and more like you can access a group of muscles that can help you out right? Beyond just your shoulders, beyond just your legs. So it's really useful to see your entire body working together in so many different ways to make your movement practice more possible. So if you do want to spend a little bit more time this month on your mat, doing biceps work, getting stronger, and then looking at how that upper body strength can help you not only in strength training, but also on your yoga mat, then join me and move. We have a lot of fun, and you will get to explore all of the poses that we did today in depth. You'll get to warm up in them instead of just jumping into them, and you will get to feel yourself get stronger over the course of your month in your upper body, which I think is pretty great. So if you would like to join me, check out the link in the description below. If you are watching this after October 2024, not to worry. All of these videos, the ones that are pre-recorded and the ones that are recorded live in Move, every single one of them will be in the archives and you can watch them anytime. So if getting stronger in your upper body is something that is really appealing to you and you want to feel how it shows up in your yoga practice, let's hang out and move. All of the information is in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you there or here if you prefer to just be here with me on YouTube. No matter where you show up, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for moving your body with me, and I will see you again really soon.